Hi, welcome to the StockinetteZombies. I'm Amy, also known as J. Nitma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It, and this is episode 244. Coincidentally, I don't know if this is like not a good thing to have done, but my Pokemon Go name is also Just Run It.
Oh, okay.
And I've run into quite a few people that are like, what does your name even mean? I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, Jus Trunknet? And I'm like, Just Run It? Oh, I thought it was Jus Trunk NIT. And I was like, that's an interesting way to parse it. And then there's some people that automatically grok it, right? Like, oh, that running knitter. Kicking me out of the gym again. Anyway.
Funny.
Yeah, good times. Great oldies. How was your anniversary? Did you do exciting anniversary things?
No. I bought Wonder Woman, and we watched Wonder Woman with the family. Justin made it through most of the way through the movie before he abandoned us.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucy really liked it. And she even saw a commercial for it, and so we might watch it again.
Gal Gadot did a good job.
I thought so.
Excellent. I have a shawl named after that movie.
Huh? Yes, you do. Yeah, I really enjoyed like the first part on their Amazonian island. Beautiful, loved it. Like strong women battling, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the end battle with her and a bad guy, a super bad guy. So that one was also impressive. But everywhere in the middle was kind of like, that's where we lost our son, to the upstairs or to the, yeah, it was.
What women are wonderful, Mom, but it's,
Yeah. Well, it was interesting, but it was also kind of slow.
Yeah.
Pace, right? Like them like, oh silly woman, let me, or what's she doing here, all over the place, like all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, ugh, she's Wonder Woman.
It's not unconscious bias, it's bias, right?
Yes. It was definitely biased all over that movie in the middle.
Well, I guess they wanted to hammer it home, right?
Yeah, I guess.
That's what she was, that's the kind of biasness that she was facing. I'm trying to think.
Especially after coming from her island where, you know, there are only women. And
yeah, well, yeah, that would be shocking. Be very shocking. Yeah, I think we're going to end up doing similar non-romantic impressive stuff for our anniversary, which is coming up on Monday. 2 weeks after yours.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna try to schedule a date night, and then Jeremy's grandma is in the hospital, so we're kind of making sure that everything is going well there, and he's not going to need to run down and go see her. People from out of state are coming to see her, so thoughts and prayers are with Sue. She's a very kind woman who always made me feel welcome and part of their family, like from the moment I stepped into their home, right? Like even when Jeremy and I were just dating and not married or have her great-grandkids, or, you know, just always nice and kind and welcoming. And I always had a place at their table if I wanted it. And yep. But yeah, so we kind of put a hold on that. A lot of our plans we've been putting hold on between, you know, Chaz not doing well, and just seems like we've had some plans, and we've best laid plans and all, right? Life gets in the way. Soccer started up. We've got 3 in soccer. And that started last weekend, and I was going to try to head to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool around that, so after it, because we had 3 morning, and kind of got told that Sunday was going to be a sleepy day, and that wouldn't necessarily be in the marketplace like for the book on Sunday, and so kind of decided not to go last minute there as well. So yeah, lots of travel plans upended, but back to school happened and went well for us? Everything
Yeah.
went well for you?
Yep, kids are both enjoying school, and
Mm-hmm.
it seems like there's a lot going on in middle school already, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like already homework and quizzes and all sorts. But, what's your favorite part of middle school? Getting off the bus every day.
I think Ellie's answer might be similar. We drop her off in the morning because I think you had a similar tale. It would be a very long hour and something that she was on the bus, and it's middle school super early in Rochester. I don't know if it's even earlier than high school, but the hours at our middle school are the classes actually start before 7, so. Or not 7, before 8,
Yeah.
in the 7 o'clock hours. Sorry. Oof, you were like, whoa.
I did.
Your eyes were like, huh? She's crazy. And so, yeah. And then this is the first time that she's ever had to take a bus because the school is literally just across the street. And I think she enjoys coming home and feeling responsible and having that time to herself,
Yeah.
Over here, she goes over and says hello to her 5th grade teacher after school gets out over there and feels very mature and independent. She's an independent woman. She's gonna make it after all. Very Tyler Moore. Sorry.
Well, and I was like, oh, what do you like about it? And it was just like you said, like, oh, it's over, and you go home, and you can like get your homework done, and
quiet time,
just all by yourself.
Yeah. I think Ellie's enjoying. I don't think that she enjoys getting up early, but I think she definitely enjoys getting out of class early.
Mm-hmm. He also enjoys the options for lunch.
Oh,
You get a choice between 2 items, and they give you twice as much as they did in elementary school. What? All important stuff.
Yeah,
for sure. And tomorrow they might actually put together their instruments. So
Ellie's been talking about that. I kind of have a headache today. Why is that? Well, we got to get our mouthpieces out on our flutes. But then we were just all blowing on them, like trying to get it to make a sound and whatever. And I was like, so are you lightheaded, or was it really loud, or like, oh, I think it was a little bit of both. Okay. But
right, so they might actually assemble them, not just the mouthpiece.
Super exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I don't know, just a whirlwind of like emails about their homework and stuff coming to me. I'm like, did my parents have this much information about my school when I was growing up? This is crazy.
I literally made that comment to somebody recently. I'm like, I know that I was probably pretty oblivious and self-absorbed as a child, but I do not remember my parents being this busy. And somebody was like, I know! There's no way my parents were this busy. And I'm like, getting emails from 3 different teachers, and we've got different activities, and we got a getting to know you activity that we have to do for Quentin, which they know that he's not going to be able to do because he's a 1st grader, and they're asking for pictures. Right? So we have to go back and look through old pictures and print them. And again, it's an activity to do together, but it's not something that he can do independently. We watched sorry, this is complete just blabber. You guys are knitting? You guys have a knitting podcast?
Yeah, and I lost my MoJo
you're okay
for
with
about a week, so this is what I have, and you're looking at it.
Yeah.
So we're just...
we have an external hard drive. And we were, I can't remember, we had something that we were watching off of it, and Dexter's like, what are the video files, the camera video files? And we watched some old videos of the kids. It's just so funny to, until Quentin was like, none of these have me in them. And we were like, okay, well, there's 6 at the very end that have you in them. And then I think it happened that we started taking them on our phones versus the video camera,
gotcha.
Right? And the phone ones are backed up on the cloud with all of our photos versus sitting backed up on an external hard drive, right? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, got to see a few videos with Aunt Melly, which was good. We got to watch her video again. Love and miss her dearly. So that was, hadn't seen those in a while. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it kind of made me go I simultaneously felt like watching that, and I know it's just like rose-colored glasses and whatever, but when they were younger, I felt like it was more about teaching them and doing things with them, and now I'm like, I feel like I'm just like constantly disciplining. Like the boys can't keep their hands off of each other. Like, so they're constantly wrestling, and Ellie is being mean to Dexter, and Dexter's being mean to Ellie, and I feel like I'm more of a referee and less of a parent, or more of a disciplinarian and less of a parent, and so I kind of looked at them and like, oh, there was a time when like we rejoiced because Ellie could do something, right? Like, and now I'm just like, have you done this? Have you done this? Can you pick up the 5 pairs of socks that you've left laying on the floor here? Can you?
Oh, we have a sock floor issue. I'm sure everybody does. Socks on the floor. What's good with that?
My husband does it. That's the worst part. It's like we could have a total like PSA type like PSA video. Like, I learned it by watching you, Dad. I learned it by watching you. About socks, just randomly left in places. But Angela, Beagle Mom Knitter, I think she's got us beat. Her kids would bring home, her boys, her like teenage boys brought home like wet, dirty socks and like flung them against the wall, and then they would stick there. Yeah.
You?
Yeah. My kids have hereditarily sweaty feet, as you know from the knitting Ellie socks. So yeah, it's they have to get picked up. Like, we can't leave them laying around, or my house would stink. Anyway, all of that to say, life just keeps on happening. Amy and I are sprinting at a pace in which, we're unaccustomed to. Like, I forget how easy summer is.
Yeah.
Compared to the school year.
Yeah.
How do I forget every year, Amy? How do I forget every year?
Because the summer's so relaxing.
I guess. It just lulls you into compliance. This is my life.
Yeah.
My life is
just like this.
It's just
all
summer.
the time.
It's summer. But it was getting cooler, and it prompted me to wash and block some of my sweaters and feel like it was sweater weather. And then now it's like 88 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
The weather people, and I know we have really no room to complain about weather because people are experiencing much worse with like hurricanes, Harvey and Irma, and flooding and whatever. But the news broadcaster was saying that the last time we've had 2 80-degree days in a row was like back in July, like in all of August. It was unseasonably cool temps. So I think the knitter in me was like, well, this is good.
Yeah.
I can deal with this.
Well, I was saying that to somebody, like, it feels like we didn't even have a summer at all because there wasn't enough hot days to like go to the pool and do those like, I don't know, days of summer activities, right? It was all just
play
like,
around and eat popsicles and
yeah, I don't know. Or like, oh, the weather's kind of iffy, so we're not gonna really make plans, and then the whole day feels like you've done nothing, which is good too, but at the same time, like,
we never made it out to Foster Aaron's, the little local beach that we always go to when it's just blasted hot, right? Yeah.
So then, kids went back to school, and then I promptly abandoned them for 3 days.
Ah, that's right. You went to the Granny Games.
I did. So we have the Cloudy City Throwdown. I forget. There was it had an original name, and then it turned into the Granite Games. So yes, I had posted a picture on Instagram that my magic bracelet stopped working. They had volunteers were given free Kilcliff drinks. Not like infinite supply, but you could go up and get a few using your wristband each day. And
that doesn't happen IRL.
No, it doesn't.
Not that, that wasn't real life. At least I hope you weren't imagining that people were giving you drinks because you were wearing a special bracelet.
No, I was not delusional.
Hallucinating.
But this year I actually got to be on all of the venue floors. So I got to be outside every day. But towards the end of the day, got to help out on different floors inside. And that was really interesting. getting to see all of them, and I don't know how it's going to inform my decision next year, but I really enjoyed it.
Cool. I know you were very much looking forward to it. Sometimes after stuff like that, like the retreat or an event or, Stitches Midwest or whatever, I get kind of like, I was looking forward to that thing, and now that thing is over. What am I looking forward to now?
Oh, yeah.
Like post-event melancholy.
Now I'm just waiting for the pictures to come out. I still haven't seen everybody's taking pictures and videos like all weekend long, and you're like, okay, where's the picture that I didn't purposely get taken of me, right? Where's the I'm in the background of this shot, or I'm walking past in this one, or like I haven't seen it. Like anytime I was outside, I was wearing our StockinetteZombies high vis visor, so I should be able to be spotted in photos. And I was the only one wearing a high vis visor, so like, come on. I feel like I should be able to see myself, but I also feel like I got a lot of breaks this year, just the way that the competition was structured this year. So maybe less time on the floor means less pictures. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. Got to just be in awe of all of these people and their accomplishments. Got to witness some personal bests on the floor, like doing things they had never done before, and getting really, really excited when that happened. And, I know that was very inspirational for getting back into the gym, although I was very tired. And I still have tomorrow to be able to get into the gym, but
no, I mean, I when I used to recruit, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I'm going to say it again anyway. You would stand all day, right? Like 8 hours of talking to folks that were super excited about possibly working for my employer and whatever. And it fed you energy, but at the end of the day, like, I was just exhausted, right? Like, you'd go back to the hotel room and just pass out because standing all day is not something that I normally do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a that trip in October is a big recruiting trip, and it's 4 days. So I'm like, I can't, it's gonna be worse. Actually, I take that back. It's 3 days plus 2 days of travel.
Well, the thing was also that, like, a lot of people gave me, like, guff about it, right? Like, oh yeah, you're going to that boondoggle at Iowa State. And I'm like, no, this is like totes work. Like, at the time, I didn't say totes, right? But
it wasn't in the vernacular.
This is, Megan, current day Megan using, different vernacular. But no, it was work. Like, that was not an easy job to stand there. And, I mean, it's fun to talk to people, but just physically, at the end of the day, it kind of hit you like a ton of bricks that you'd been doing something different than what you normally did, which was sit in front of a computer or sit in meetings. Or back then, I probably sat in front of a computer a lot more than I sat in meetings. But again, that's current day Megan infusing her life into that.
Yeah, it's getting to the point now where I'm like, I wonder if they'd rather send me to Irvine for like actual work, because I'm just dreading the 4 days away from my actual job because the work won't get done while I'm gone. Like, that's the thing that's bothering me the most about this one coming up. It's like, I had too much to do. I can't just take 4 days off, even if it is for work, to not do work.
Yeah.
Like that, and being away for the, I'll miss like that entire week of soccer.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
I really didn't want to miss the first weekend of soccer. A, for like husband sanity, and B, just for the kids, right? New teams, and Quentin has never played before, and all that jazz. So, yep. All right, some administrati, some exciting administrati. So I did the August drawing, which was fantastic. So we have we're over 1,023 for August, and we had just a little bit left over at the end of that, of last month to draw. I have to go toss some stuff as far as the bag, the yarn, or the pattern. Obviously, you can choose any of my my downloadable Ravelry patterns, and I've got like a set that is specifically for self-striping. So if you want to just cross the board, say bag or yarn, or if you actually want to see it, I guess I could send pictures, but just message me, and that order will determine the selection. So I'm sorry, I'm ill prepared, but I think I've run out of self-striping in the self-striping pile, and I need to toss my stash. And I don't know that I have another bag from your mom either, but I'm sure we've got one that we can grab. So anyway, all of that to say, I don't have pretties to show you, but I've got pretties to give you. So for the self-striping August drawing, I drew 716, 406, and 990. So 716 is Socks for Judy, and that is Judy. This is so fun. 406 is Betty for Fiber. So they both have fours in them and their names, and that's Betty. And hers were very like October-esque. They were very fall colors, purples and oranges. It was very good. And 990 is C. Uden, or maybe it's C. Kadan, or it's Deborah. Hers were the one that were Halloween. I wrote Halloween next to me, so maybe Betty for Fibers was not. Sorry, Betty. So yeah, that's Socks for Betty, Socks for Judy, Betty for Fiber, and CCUDAN. Contact me and let me know if you're interested in a bag or yarn or one of my downloadable patterns. And then we have currently a KAL. It's a going on, the Friendship KAL. I've got a couple of Friendship FOs that I can show off. But Zany Crafts, Handmade Fiber Creations, Zany Crafts, feltedarts.etsy.com, sent us 2 sock blanks. So we've got a theme going with the Friendship. We'll draw in pairs, and the melted crayon wants to be mine. It's a very beautiful sock blank, and then there's a rainbow one. And I've been knitting a sock blank, and I'm kind of in love with them currently. Lots of like crafty symbolism and sayings go through my mind. Like it's not cut from the same fiber. It's like knit from the same unraveled. Not cut from the same fiber, cut from the same cloth is the saying, right? And that's more of a sewing term. But knitting socks, they were knit from the same blank. Yeah, but I don't think people would get blank. Like even some knitters might not get blank.
Yeah, from the same
knit
skein.
From the same fabric, like because you're unraveling the fabric of it. I don't know. Come up with it. Somebody come up with it. Crowdsource. But thanks to Zany Crafts for these two beautiful prizes. And we've got an FO thread out there. We've got some FOs. It's super exciting. Thank you so much to the folks that have KAL'd or will KAL. We've got a whole September still a going. So, what was another one that I thought of that was very fiber or very crafty related, a saying? Now I can't remember. A lot of sayings come up recently in my mind. Cut from the same cloth, and I don't know. Anyway, you said loose ends. Loose ends, yes, that's a very, like I'm doing right now, right? You're tying up loose ends. This was because the blank had a little ouchy spot. The yarn had gotten a little thin. So I just kind of doubled it over and continued going on my way. But now I have to deal with that loose end. Dealing with loose ends. All right. That was the administrati. We generally talk about ZK things at the end, but seeing as it's a new year, and it's not specific to folks that are going to ZK 2018, because we don't know who those people are yet, we wanted to announce that we are having the sign-ups next Thursday, September 21st at 2 p.m. I do not believe we've ever had a Thursday at 2 p.m. sign-up date. We kind of like to vary it, because if we always did it at Friday at 5 o'clock, if you worked then, I don't know. I feel like varying it is more fair. in my mind, right? Like, but who knows? You could have worked at Friday at 5 o'clock last year, and then now this year you're working at 2 p.m. on Thursday. So my varying theory may not be as successful, but super excited. Sign-ups are at zombieapocalypse.com. It is a first come, first serve, and we have 200 spots that we fill. Last year, I believe, was the fastest that we went through the spots, so it continues to accelerate. I'm not going to say that that's that will be the case this year, but you never know. Right. We can, again, just speaking from years past, we have gotten through the wait list. If you aren't able to get signed up that first in that first round, but we've had less and less come off of the wait list until very last minute recently in years past.
To the point where you don't have enough notice to book flights and do things like that. So, this year was the least movement I've seen on it until the very last few weeks, right?
Yep.
So,
so unless you can, get off of work and fly in or make travel plans very last minute, I would not say that the wait list is a good option to opt for. If you plan on coming, please grab a spot while you can. And super excited about that. We'll be back at the DoubleTree. We love that location, and vendor signups will be forthcoming. And then I had a question about the payment methods that we accept, and that's everything that PayPal accepts. So if you've got a credit card, or you've got a bank tied, or you've got PayPal funds that you can just pay with, anything that PayPal accepts, we accept, because we do that through PayPal. True story. It is. I say that to my kids, and they're like, "Mom, stories aren't true." And I'm like, "Some stories are true." And I say true story. So take that. Any other administrating that's fit to be administrated?
Continue to work on the KALs. So we had the Friendship one mentioned, but Persian Dreams KAL and also the striping was mentioned. So keep on keeping on, and get those entries in. I had alluded to big and secret plans for the finished objects for the blanket KL. Finished objects won't be due until into the new year, so you can still just be working on your monthly blocks, and don't worry about sewing them together until that last block is done. But I have a few ideas on what to do for prizes for that, so I'm excited to put some creative energy into that.
Yeah. And then we briefly mentioned, but have not made concrete plans about Stillwater in October. So at least have a meetup, or go to. I want to go see the big new bridge.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited about the bridge. It's exciting. And see, some of the new places. Maybe my husband will come and see the brewery, and not taken family in years past. They're not very good waiters.
Yeah.
They get impatient.
Yeah.
And I like to, and I like to be in yarn shops and talk to knitters. So it might be a bad combo. But Jeremy keeps on talking about going to Stillwater, so because every time I go without him. So it must seem like exotic and fun to him or something.
It is a nice spot.
Yep. It is. All right. Do you have any FOs?
I have a hoe.
So I was just talking about Halloween, right?
Yep. So I think this is like somebody says boo or something like that. And yep. So that's all. I have a hoe.
The MoJo.
Yep, the MoJo has left. I had to stop on my shawl because I was playing Yarn Chicken last we met. And I have the new yarn. Thank you for destashing, because destashing can fulfill somebody's dreams. So I have the next one, but as you can see, it's not balled up yet. So as soon as I get that balled up, that shawl can to begin again. And then I'm working my hexes, but none of that's really gotten work. I haven't knitted in, I would say, a good week.
Wow.
Because I wasn't really knitting before I went on the trip because work was crazy and I just couldn't fit it in. And then I went on the trip, didn't knit a single stitch while I was there. These socks were with me, but I didn't touch them once. And then got back and was so exhausted by the end of my work day that I just sat there and stared at the TV and couldn't lift my arms. So it's like, knitting's over the
Yeah.
I'm just so tired.
I can't remember if I told the story on the podcast or not, but Jeremy and I have been, we had been going on some nightly walks before Ellie went down to Glenwood because the boys would be in bed and then she could be here and give us a call if something was up and we wouldn't be all that far away. And it's interesting. I'm not like voyeur-esque, but like, you walk by somebody's house and you see people sitting and watching TV and you kind of notice what they have on TV. And it just struck me how bizarre, so before I had Dexter, so 8 years ago, walking by, it never would have struck me as odd. But to see people, sitting there with their arms crossed watching TV was, so bizarre to me. I was like, why don't they have their hands out, knitting? Why would you sit there with your arms crossed and watch TV? So you said that, and I was like, well, that's just bizarre, Amy. I can't believe that you sit there and watch TV.
My energy levels were such that they weren't even crossed. I was literally like this.
You're a zombie, but not a stockinette. You're a judging zombie.
Yes.
Rep.
Yeah. Well, numbers lose all meaning when you've been saying them all day long. There was a chip timer system for one of the events, and they were crossing the finish line, and there were 3 different backups. So there was the initial one, and then there was a backup, and there was a camera backup, and then the final backup was our silliness of reading off the chip numbers as somebody was punching them in. And you get good clumps of 20 where you're reading off 3 different numbers, but there's 6 spotters, so that person had to type in 20 numbers, the 4-digit numbers, in a matter of a clump. And yeah, I became number blind. I just numbers lost all meaning. Oh, there's a number, and I'd say it, without thought. Just see a number, say a number, see a number, say a number, see a number, say a number. It was, for hours.
It sounds like you might have been a numbers zombie.
Yes.
It's numbers nightmare. I love numbers.
And then later in the day, then I actually had to have numbers that had meaning again, and that's where I was too tired to function. I had a nice long break between that and the thing I had to do, but mercifully. Oh God, I can't say it now. Mercifully. The numbers were really small on the floor that day. So it's 3, I can count to 3. 3, yep, I can count to 3 again. Okay, 2, woo, they're getting smaller. I can count to 2, I can count to 2 again. I forget the other one. Oh, it was 7, 5, 3. So the rep scheme. It was 7, 5, 3, 2, 1. So yay. I can do that. But nope, that's all the knitting I have gotten, and the whip that I have that's made any progress is the one you're looking at. So off to Megan here.
I made you a little nest.
Oh, thank you.
Isn't it beautiful?
It looks like death.
Cat death. Oh, okay. My cat doesn't eat yarn ends, so to me it just looks like a little nest. Death. Amy's cat death. Don't take it home with you. Okay. It can just be for at my home.
Okay.
Okay, I finished some socks, so I can't remember, was I knitting on these socks the last time we talked? I can't remember. They're from a sock blank. I'm completely loving knitting a sock blank. It was Knitter's Nightmare, Stars and Owls, and she was super smart. I have seen other sock blank, or I have knit another sock blank, and it was like completely random. Like the color is more like splatter, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't see that in the finished project. It just looks very variegated, right? Mm-hmm. And this was like, it started off with a very teal, like, so she painted a gradient and then she stamped it with the thing that made it interesting, right? The stars and owls. Not my chest. I was like stars and owls. And so I really liked that it felt kind of like a gradient. You know, you just kind of started going and then some of the stars crept in and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It does kind of create a fabric that's a little more, like you could see it before I put it on the sock blank, and these haven't been washed and blocked. There's just kind of some ridges there that I didn't introduce. Obviously the yarn is kind of pre-kinked, and so you didn't, when it stretched it over the needle, it had the right tension, but then it kind of went back to its previous state. Mm-hmm. And I think when I first did a sock blank, I think my first sock blank was with, I can't remember now, but it was a very speckle-tastic one. Oh gosh, I can see it. It had grays and pinks, and I started it at Knitting Pipeline. Why can't I think of the name? Anyway, it really bothered me, but I'm now in a better place with sock blanks. And I really enjoy kind of like the cut from the same cloth, knit from the same fabric type thing. I know that these both came from a sock blank, but somebody else might look at these and go, wow, could those have been any more different? And so these were the Never Lost Together, which I don't know if you can see the little ups and downs, but the inspiration on that was that whether or not you know where you're going when you're with your friends, you're with them, and that's kind of the destination. So you're never lost when you're together. Mm-hmm. You're just having a hard time finding that place that you're going. Mm-hmm. But being together is the true destination. So that's the friendship story. It's also in Minnesota 52, and then Corey actually gave this to me, my co-author of Minnesota 52. So I started off down here and I knit this first sock, so you can see kind of the progression, and started going, and I decided I wanted to save the owl. And so I don't know if you've ever knit a sock blank from the wrong end, but it's not as enjoyable. It's not just like a unravel. You get to this end and where it went back on itself, where the machine turned or whatever, you have to pull that stitch out and start unraveling the row below and make a loop and then stick the project through. Or if you're like me and you're just doing a whole bunch in a row, you just kind of end up doing that for a while so that you get a whole bunch of slack, so you're not doing it on every single row. So that was a little bit less enjoyable, but I think it was worth it to save the owl. Save the owl! And I got, I saved all, 2 stars. There was 3. Mm-hmm. There were 3. You might not have known that, but there were 3 stars. This sock blank got 3 stars.
I believe you.
On, what's the app I'm going to make up in my mind? Got 3 stars on sock blank Utopia. But yeah, super fun. Super loved it. Loved the pattern, became, intuitive and whatever to me, and then zoom. It's fun to unravel some more, knit, unravel some more, knit. All right, and then I finished my ground pepper, not cracked pepper. There is a cracked pepper, but this one's ground pepper. I always, ground pepper by Suvi Knits. I always tell myself that I think I flipped it, and then I flipped it back, and then... Anyway, super lovely sport weight callback is the base from Leading Men Fiber Arts with speckles. I did the gradient from light to dark. I had lots and lots and lots of yarn, and so I went ahead and made it super long because I have a longer torso. So it fits, you know, lower than my hips when I wear it, and the sleeves are super long. I guess I could throw it on. It is warm outside, but Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now in Rochester, it's
74 degrees. Sun is down. It's 74 degrees.
Okay.
Okay, Alexa, stop. I don't want to know you guys don't want to know the full forecast, do you? I don't even know that. I'm not even certain that you've probably heard all of it. So yeah, it's a little long. I've noticed on some of them that they have a very deep V, and so I picked up less stitches. That's why you're seeing these ends. I had a lot of loose ends that I needed to weave in. So I did all of the other ends I wove in before I blocked it, and then I left these just in case it looked a little weird and gathered, unintentional gather. But I really like it. It's the right amount of V-neckage for me. It's a word. I'm making it up.
Neckage.
V-neckage. There's a difference when you put a V in front of it. The pattern suggested that if you wanted to make the ribbing look super neat, that you could knit through the back loop or purl through the back loop on the ribbing, and I really like it. It created a nice little ribbing, and then I didn't do it on the sleeves. I forgot that I had done it, and so I did all of this painstaking purl through the back loop to make this one look pretty, and then I couldn't be bothered to do it on the sleeves on the small circumference. So you guys aren't probably going to be able to tell the difference, but it just looks a lot neater. Like it's tidier. Tighter. It's tightened up with that purl through the back loop. This looks a lot more cavernous.
Yes.
This is a lot more flat. Anyway, absolutely loved working with the gradient. I made my stripes longer than was written in the pattern because I wanted to make it longer in the body, and also long sleeves, but they didn't end up here, or if they did end up there, I did that on purpose. You don't have to, like, you look like you're Vanna Whiting it. Like, look at my beautiful Megan colored yarn nest. But I have quite a bit left over, and so I haven't weighed it yet, but I think that I could probably eke out, if not a full sweater for Ellie, at least like a 3/4 length sleeve for Ellie. There's a lot of sport weight here. Because I believe they were full sport weight skeins times 5. So good value to be able to knit myself a sweater and then possibly Ellie a sweater. So yeah, 5 times 328 yards. I'll weigh it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like enough to me right now, but if you weighed it, you could convince me.
Because my sweater, yeah, then I would know how much my sweater was, and it's obviously going to end up being a lot longer and bigger around than hers will need to be. So, yep, that's the sweater. Super excited. Need to weave in that end. Remember to weave in that end, Megan. And then I'm not 100% certain whether or not this is the first of on the way to a new design, or if this is a new design itself. But it's basically some 2-color coordinating heel-toe cuff with some traveling slipped stitches in that contrast color. So super love the yarn combo. These were both leftovers, and I've got quite a bit of that left over as well, although Amy will say I wouldn't be able to do much with it. From my Find Your Fade. So these were both colors that were in my Find Your Fade. I believe I was gonna do my due diligence on a lot of things for this podcast. I can't remember. This one is Beanstalk by Leading Med Fiber Arts and their Showstopper, and this other one, it's not coming to me. I really like it though. It's got greens and purples and blues. Super pretty, and I think it's got a little bit of silk in it. So we'll see how that wears in my socks. I don't know that I've ever had a sock with silk mixed in with it, but alternating every other row in the colors, and yeah, just a fun fun little my length leg of a sock with some fun traveling stitches. And I literally have nothing on the needles. I know that you don't really know what that's like anymore.
Wow.
There's nothing, I mean, there's yarn and there's needles in bags, but nothing is literally on the needle.
Wow.
I know, right? I
It's
finished
amazing.
these right when you walked in the door. And I told myself if I wove in all my ends, I could probably cast on a pair of socks for Ellie out of this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, she approves of that one. That
Yeah.
one is Amy approved. Sweater.
That one I can see socks for Ellie. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, shorties.
Yes.
Doesn't
Well,
take-
that's another thing. I know that Ellie likes shorties, so
Mhm.
that's easy to see. Yeah, and I guess, like I said, I only have
Your work in progress as well.
That's it. Doot, doot. All the other stuff got very little to no work because, like I said, I've been losing the MoJo for the last week, and then before that, it was just finishing or probably working on this sock and that shawl that ended up running out of yarn. So.
I was looking at that kinked up yarn and I forgot to mention while I was talking about my sock blank socks that my kids were just totally guffawed that like the owl doesn't show up in the sock. And I'm like, no, you're unraveling it and it's a different, well, why even do it then?
Why even do it then?
And the Dexter was like, isn't this like the finished thing? Why would you be unraveling it? Like, wouldn't it? And I'm like, well, what would you use it for? Like, other than I'm going to keep it because I like the owl. I like owls and stars. But like, what would I don't know. Like, it could be like a scarf. I could wear it as a scarf, Mom. And that's his big thing now is he wants me to knit him a scarf for some reason. And I was like, well, don't you think you would lose it or like somebody else would pull on it and like choke you or something? Like I guess I don't see a lot of other little kids running around with scarves, but maybe he's going to be a trendsetter.
He knows.
Yeah. Well, he said, and then you've got those ones that don't have loose ends, that they're just all one big, and I was like, I could probably knit you a cowl, I guess. You could still lose it. Still could get wrangled around the neck by it, right?
Mhm.
But perhaps less worrisome. But yeah. You mean you're unraveling that thing that's already finished? Why are you unraveling something that's knit and then knitting something with the unraveled stuff? Like, it is what it is. That's what we knitters do. We're crazy.
Yeah.
We're crazy.
Yeah. It does sound a little nuts.
When you say it like that.
Yeah.
Like you're unraveling knitting to knit with it. To what end?
Yeah.
It was finished and now it's becoming not finished. Why? But it's fun. If you haven't done it, I would highly recommend it. I think it's fun.
Did you have any enabling?
I have a couple of needle adjacent projects.
Is that enabling?
Nope, I don't have any enabling. I did buy myself some Suburban Stitcher, Houston Relief Worker donation. I can't remember what the name of the colorway is called. Oh.
I didn't see that one, but I saw
You missed out then, because this is gorgeous.
knitting in color.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up with Haunted Harvest in Autumn Afternoon, and they're
Beautiful.
super pretty, speckly. I don't know. They sang to me they were on sale, and she was giving proceeds to Harvey. So
Mhm.
it was like win-win-win.
Yes.
Perfect. Send to me.
The thing that tugged on my heartstrings about Diane was that she was impacted
Oh,
by
I
it,
know.
right? And she's
I was
donating
following
this money.
her story the whole time.
Yep.
And
River's
then,
Edge is what it's called. Super pretty.
very,
My-
very making colors.
I know, right? So I'm like, doing good, I'm supporting Diane, and I totally love it.
It doesn't hurt that it's my color.
I can't say no. I don't have to talk about my needle adjacent.
Okay.
I'm good with not. Maybe they'll be on the needles by next time. I got a pair of leggings for Ellie.
Ooh.
From last year's. I was
Oh.
going to write this up, but never got around to it because the book took
Gotcha.
over my life. And then Copper Corgi, some of her beautiful base for an upcoming project with her and Jan Smiley.
Oh,
Yeah. This is her Jones Street
Yeah.
Sport in the Splash and the Splash and what is this one? But a 2-color funness, Buzz. Aren't they fun names? And this has alpaca in it, right? Yes. 60% super wash merino, 30% alpaca, 10% silk. So a very beautiful 2-color something that I'm super excited about. I've got an idea it's going to be on the needles. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you. I have to clear it with them.
Oh.
But another upcoming design that I'm excited about. Got the needles in there.
And she said she wouldn't talk about them.
I did. But then I did it anyway. And you guys are like, that's so totally Megan.
Yeah, just this one. We'll let you talk about that.
Well, I'm excited about them.
No,
I don't know
that's
why I
fine.
said I wasn't. To be honest with you, I grabbed them and so yeah, possible Ellie sweater, Ellie leggings, 2-color fabulousness with copper corgi, and probably another pair of socks. Where I'm fine tuning whether or not this is the final design or this is the first iteration of a different design. Cool.
Yeah, the MoJo that has left me without wanting to cast on, let alone my knit to zero. So,
When you said that, when you were like, I lost my knitting mojo, I was like, is it because of the knit to zero? I feel like that's happened to you in the past. You've been like, just not excited about knitting because I have to try to finish these things that I was once excited about and am no longer.
yeah, no, it's not the knit to zero because even the idea of going and tossing the stash and casting on something brand new doesn't really feel like yay. What I did find is I was spinning after work, and that was nice. So maybe my energy levels are my meditative spinning more than. I mean, socks can be meditative too, but less
Zombification.
Yes, less thinky, more. Just
Over and over.
Need things that are just kind of relaxing and calming and don't require me to count.
A lot of the socks got done because they were traveling with me to the 7 million soccer practices that we have a week now. Sorry, just 6, but just feels like a lot. Especially when 2 of them are on the same night, and there's one every night except Friday.
Wow. Yeah, I have 2, but yeah, I've been failing to get my daughter to them. Matt's been doing it. My husband's been doing that for me, and then I pick her up. So hopefully I get to the point where work isn't so busy that I forget that, oh, well, it's too late to go home and get her there in time. So since they're already at home, they take her to, But yeah, need to, I don't know. I've gotten into the habit of working until 5:30, and I need to get out of that. Which is, some people might think of that as normal, but I've already gotten in there before 8 o'clock, so it feels like a long day.
It's long.
So, bye.
Bye, Rufta.